Hi guys, this is Christy.
And I'm Chris.
And we're from Turner Max Adventures.
Just wanted to share with you the next step in our southwestern tour. The next stop that we went to was the Guadalupe Mountains National Park. It's a smaller park and it's just on the border south of the New Mexico border into Texas, and contains Guadalupe Peak, which is the tallest mountain in Texas. We did not hike up to the top of Guadalupe Peak. While we were there, it was a pretty overcast, had some winds and cool weather, and so we decided that we were going to just kind of take it easy. The other thing to note about Guadalupe Mountains National Park is that it's only 30 miles away from Carlsbad Caverns, and so we decided to take that hike instead. The campground at the Guadalupe Mountains National Park is pretty no-frills. They do have a water station available. There's bathrooms available, no showers. It's pretty much a paved parking lot area for the RV section. We had no problem finding a spot. It is all first come, first served, no reservations, and it's $15 a night. There's a separate section for tent campers so that they don't have to listen to generators, because the RV section does allow generators. And it was a good thing too, because while we were there, it was pretty overcast the entire time we were there.
Yeah, they have an 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. generator time. So
right.
after that, it's quiet hours.
And while we didn't experience a whole lot of wind here, apparently it is really sometimes a high wind area where you really have to pay attention to the weather forecast and watch the winds as they come in. One of the things that we noticed was the campground host had their RV was kind of staked to the ground.
It was chained to the ground with eye hooks and chains. That's pretty legit.
As I said, we didn't do the hike to Guadalupe Peak. We stayed there. We stayed at the campground for 2 nights. They do have a visitor center on site, but overall it's a pretty small park with not a whole lot to do other than hiking of the peak and a couple of the other major hikes that they have. We decided that because we were staying there 2 nights, the next day we had a full day, and so we decided to drive the 30 miles north into New Mexico to Carlsbad Caverns. And it's a beautiful drive. You're driving along the mountain range north into Carlsbad, and it's a gorgeous drive the whole way.
So we decided to do the natural entrance into the park at Carlsbad to kind of get the experience of where the bats come out. They weren't there at the time.
Right. We're here at the beginning of March. They usually don't show up until maybe end of March, 1st of April, and so we missed out on the bat flight, but we still had a good time. The cave itself is magnificent. I mean, wow. It's really amazing. All of the formations, all of the immense size, mm-hmm. how large it is, how large the opening is, and the natural entrance and everything. It's just truly amazing. Really a sight to see.
I was expecting the hike to be really hard, and I would think that if you had to hike down and then hike back out, that would have been pretty strenuous. But as far as just hiking down, making sure the elevators are working so that you can ride back up, it was very enjoyable. And it was like a stroll, because you stop quite often to take in all of the different formations.
From the top to get down into the big room, it's about 1.25 miles. And then once you get down into the big room of the cave, it's about another 1.25 miles, all the way around the big room. Once you're down there, there are restrooms. There is a gift shop that they do have snacks. You're not allowed to take food into the park or into the cave, but that you can bring water. So
you really could take your time and just take it easy going down. They also have like a little snack bar down at the very bottom in the separate section of the cave near the elevators that you can get sandwiches and stuff if you want. Or you can wait and take the elevator back up. They have a cafe upstairs, which Chris and I ate at that day because it was right around lunchtime and we didn't bring a lunch with us. And it was really, really good. Yeah. It's a Tex-Mex kind of style cafeteria. But they also have like hot dogs and stuff like that for the kids.
Yeah, but the food was really good. It was they really called out the locally sourced goods, produce and the chilies and all of that, and it was really good food. It's roughly about a 3-mile hike total. We did choose to take the elevator up rather than hiking back out the natural entrance because of the elevation change. So we decided we would kind of take it easy. Overall, it took us roughly, I don't know, from the time we got there to the time we left, including gift shop and everything else, we were there probably about 4 hours or so. Yeah.
The gift shop was amazing. There were several gift shops, but they were quite large and had a wide variety of things to offer. We got some great shirts. Chris is wearing one today.
Just so you know, the reason that we chose to camp in Guadalupe Mountains National Park and not camp at Carlsbad Caverns is because there's no campsite at Carlsbad Caverns National Park. That being said, they do have plenty of room to park a rig or a travel trailer and everything while you're there. So you can,
if you're just passing
through the road up to the road up to the ridge where the visitor center is not that bad of a drive, and it's really easy with a motorhome or with a travel trailer, and there's plenty of parking.
So they do have a dog kennel if you do have a pet with you. They do request that you bring your dog to them instead of leaving your dog in the RV.
While we were in the cave, we did learn quite a bit, just kind of about the different formations and the bats, and we talked to the ranger a little bit, just kind of understand, kind of when the bats would be there and whatnot. We knew we were going to miss them, but we just didn't know, whenever they were there in the summertime, does it stink? The answer is, yeah, kind of, but it's probably a combination of both the bats and cave swallows that they said. And there's a lot of birds and the bats, obviously, with all of those living inside or right at the entrance, that there's a lot of waste that is produced by that many animals. And so we also asked, well, how many bats are in there? And it varies from year to year. What we learned is, like this most recent year, they had roughly 150,000, but it has been as high as 750,000 bats in that cave during its peak time, which is amazing to me. They say on average it's roughly about 400,000 per year, but it can vary quite a bit, and that's just kind of normal. The other thing that we did learn is that the bats, whenever they are in Carlsbad Caverns, that it's a nesting site, and so, or a roosting site, I guess. Bats don't nest, they roost, and so the females will have one pup apiece. And only one, and so they nurse that pup, and then the pups are generally some of the last to leave to migrate south back to Central and South America at the end of the season, as late as November sometimes for some of the pups.
Mm-hmm. She did say the bats do not go deep inside the cave to the big room. They usually stop. There's a section marked the Bat Cave, and that's usually where they stay. They don't go really deep into the cave. She said every now and then they will, but the majority of the bats stay up closer to the entrance.
As you're going through the natural entrance and you get about halfway down, there's a real sharp turn that continues to take you down to the big room, and it takes you away from the remainder of the Bat Cave, which is off limits, and that's where the bats roost during the summer season. One other thing is you're looking at all the formations, and they have some incredible formations. They have, and we did also learn an easy way to remember what do you call the formations hanging from the ceiling, and what do you call the ones growing up from the floor? The stalactites with a C, stalactites, ceiling, C for ceiling. Those are the ones that come from the ceiling. The stalagmites with a G are the ones that grow up from the ground. And then once those two touch, if you have one stalactite coming from the top, a stalagmite growing up from the bottom, and they touch and they meet, they form a column. And then there's other things in there. They have draperies, which are just beautiful formations. They have soda straws, which are really, really slender, hollow stalactites. And just all kinds of other formations. They have what they call cave popcorn. There was all kinds of interesting formations and lighting and whatnot. It does take a little while for your eyes to get used to the light as you're coming down into the natural entrance. It did take a little bit. At first, it's super dark, but by the time you leave, you can see your way around with the limited lighting that they have available. I would encourage you, bring a flashlight. You don't necessarily have to have one, but it enables you to shine your light kind of into places that maybe are dark or don't have the cave lighting that they've set up. Also know photography is encouraged, and they even allow flash photography, which I was surprised about.
Yeah, me too.
But they just ask that obviously you be careful of those around you. I can tell you, while we were there, even though there were plenty of people, but it was by no means crowded in March. We felt at some points, because this is a self-guided tour, it's not a guided tour. We had many sections of the cave where we were by ourselves and there wasn't anyone around at all. You just have to also be careful about your voice and how loudly you talk. They recommend a library whisper as you're going through it. And we found ourselves whispering a lot because the sound definitely travels. You don't have to talk really loudly, and you can definitely hear when other people are talking loudly. But that about does it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Catch you on the road. Bye-bye. It doesn't feel, I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm not good at this part.
Okay.
I just like to stay here and smile and nod and go yes and no. Okay.